Hey, hi everyone. Hello from a new setting. I'm just going to read you guys the fifth chapter of this amazing, brilliant book, P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. So, yes, it's chapter 5. Holly held her breath with tears in her eyes and a pounding heart. She read the words, aware all the time that the person who had sat down to write to her would never be able to do so again. She ran her fingers over Jerry's handwriting, knowing that the last person to have touched the page was him. My darling Holly, I don't know where you are or when exactly you are reading this. I just hope that my letter has found you safe and healthy. You whispered to me not long ago that you couldn't go on alone. You can, Holly. You are strong and brave, and you can get through this. We shared some beautiful times together, and you made my life. You made my life. I have no regrets. But I am just a chapter in your life. There will be many more. Remember your wonderful memories, but please don't be afraid to make some more. Remember our wonderful memories, but please don't be afraid to make some more. Thank you for doing me the honor of being my wife, for everything. I'm eternally grateful. Whenever you need me, know that I am with you. Love forever. Your husband and best friend, Jerry. P.S. I promised a list, so here it is. The following envelopes must be opened exactly when labeled and must be obeyed. And remember, I'm looking out for you, so I will know. Holly broke down, sadness sweeping over her, yet she felt relieved at the same time. Relief that Jerry would somehow continue to be with her for another little while. She leafed through the small white envelopes and reached through the months. It was April now. She had missed March, so she delicately picked out the envelope. She opened it slowly, waiting to savor every moment inside was waiting to savor every moment. Inside was a small card with Jerry's handwriting on it. It read, "Save yourself the bruises and buy a bedside lamp. P.S. I love you." Her tears turned to laughter as she realized her Jerry was back. Holly read and reread his letter over and over again in an attempt to summon him back to life. Eventually, when she could no longer see the words through her tears, she looked out to sea. She had always found the sea so calming. Even as a child, she would run across the road to the beach if she was upset and needed to think. Her parents knew that when she went missing from the house, they would find her by the sea. She closed her eyes and breathed in and out along with gentle sighing of the waves. It was as though the sea was taking big, deep breaths, pulling the water in while it inhaled and pushing it all back up onto the sand as it exhaled. She continued to breathe along with it and felt her pulse rate slow down as she became calmer. She thought about how she used to lie by Jerry's side during his final days and listen to the sound of his breathing. She had been terrified to leave him, even to answer the door, to fix him some food, or to go on to the toilet, just in case that was the time he chose to leave her. When she would return to his bedside, she would sit frozen in a terrified silence while she listened for his breathing and watched his chest for any movement. But he'd always managed to hang on. He had baffled the doctors by his strength and determination to live. Jerry wasn't prepared to go without a fight. He kept his good humor right up until the end. He was so weak and his voice so quiet, but Holly had learned to understand his new language as a mother and as her babbling child just learning to talk. They would giggle together late into the night, and Other nights they would hold each other and cry. Holly remained strong for him throughout her new job, was to be there for him whenever he needed her. Looking back on it, she knew that she really needed him more than he needed her. She needed to be needed so she could feel that she wasn't just standing idly by, utterly helpless. On the 2nd of February at 4 o'clock in the morning, Holly held Jerry's hand tightly and smiled at him encouragingly as he took his last breaths and closed his eyes. She didn't want him to be afraid, and she didn't want him to feel that she was afraid, because at that moment she wasn't. She felt relief that his pain was gone, and relief that she had been there with him to witness the peace of his passing. She felt relieved to have known him, to have loved him, and to be loved by him, and relief that the last thing he saw was her face smiling down on him, encouraging him and assuring him it was okay to let go. The days after that were a blur for her now. She had occupied herself by managing the funeral arrangements and by meeting and greeting Jerry's relatives and old school friends that she hadn't seen for years. She remained so solid and calm through it all. She was just thankful that after months his suffering was over. It didn't occur to her to feel the anger or bitterness she felt now for the life that was taken away from her. The feeling didn't arrive until she went to collect her husband's death certificate. And then that feeling made a grand appearance. As she sat at the crowded waiting room of her local health clinic waiting for her number to be called, she wondered why on earth Jerry's number had been called so early in his life. She was sandwiched between a young couple and an elderly one. The picture, what she and Jerry had once been, and a glimpse of the future they could have had. And it all just seemed unfair. While the noise of screaming children was amplified in the room, Holly felt squashed between the shoulders of her past and her lost future, and she felt suffocated. She shouldn't have to be there. None of her friends had to be there. None of her family had to be there. In fact, the majority of the population of the world didn't have to be in the position she was in right then. It didn't seem fair, because it just wasn't fair. After presenting the official proof of her husband's death to bank managers and insurance companies, as she returned home to her nest and locked herself away from the rest of the world that contained hundreds of memories of the life she once had, the life she had been very happy with. So why had she been given another one, and a far worse one at that? That was 2 months ago, and she hadn't left the house until today. And what a welcome she had been given. She thought, smiling down at the envelopes. Jerry was back. Holly could hardly contain her excitement as she furiously dialed Sharon's number with trembling hands. After reaching a few wrong numbers, she eventually calmed herself and concentrated on dialing correctly. "Sharon!" she squealed as soon as the phone was picked up. "You'll never guess what! Oh my God, I can't believe it! No, it's John, but I'll get her for you now." A worried John rushed off to get Sharon. What? Panted a very out of breath Sharon. What's wrong? Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine." Holly started giggling hysterically, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, and suddenly forgetting how to structure a sentence. John watched as Sharon sat down at her kitchen table, looking very confused while she tried with all her strength to make sense of the rambling Holly. It was something about Mrs. Kennedy giving Holly a brown envelope with a bedside lamp in it. It was all very worrying. "Stop!" shouted Sharon, much to Holly and John's surprise. "I cannot understand a word you are saying, so please." Sharon spoke very slowly. "Slow down, take a deep breath, and start from the very beginning, preferably using words from the English language. Suddenly, she heard quiet sobs from the other hand. Oh, Sharon, Holly's was so quiet and broken. He wrote me a list. Jerry wrote me a list. Sharon froze in her chair while she digested this information. John watched his wife's eyes widen and he quickly pulled out a chair and sat next to her, shoving his head towards the telephone so he could hear what was going on. Okay, Holly, I want you to get over here as quickly and as safely as you can. Sharon paused again and swatted John's head away as if he was a fly so she could concentrate on what she had just heard. This is great news. John stood up from the table, insulted, and began to pace the kitchen floor, trying to guess what news could be. Oh, it is, Sharon, sobbed Holly. It really is. Okay, make your way over here now, and we can talk about it, okay? Sharon hung up the phone and sat in silence. What is it? Demanded John. Oh, sorry, love. Holly's on the way over. She said that, what? For Christ's sake. She said that Jerry wrote her a list. John studied her face and tried to decide if she was serious. Sharon's worried blue eyes stared back at him and he realized she was. He joined her at the table and they both sat in silence instead of the bowl, lost in thought. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 5. I'm actually very eager to read chapter 6 as well, but maybe not right now, maybe not today. But yeah, that's it for chapter 5. Thank you.